The consistent circle present this audiobook titled The Architecture of Achievement, Building Your Life with Project Management Systems. Subtitle: How the Tools That Shape the World's Greatest Projects Can Forge Your Greatest Self. Narrator: Divine Echo. Introduction: The schematic of the self. We are the architects of our own destiny. But even the greatest architect needs a blueprint, a set of tools, and a system to bring a vision from the fragile realm of thought into the solid world of reality. Consider the most profound human achievements that surround you. The smartphone in your hand, a symphony of global collaboration. The bridge you cross, a testament to precise engineering and phased execution. The vaccine that protects, born from a decade-long sequence of rigorous trials and milestones. Each is a monument not to chance, but to a disciplined, repeatable process, the art and science of project management. These systems are the invisible frameworks upon which civilization builds its wonders, transforming chaotic possibility into structured, deliverable reality. Now, turn your gaze inward. What is more complex, more potential-filled, more worthy of meticulous design than your own life, your character, your legacy? We devote systems to everything external, yet so often leave the project of becoming, our most vital work, to the whims of motivation, the tyranny of the urgent, and the fog of vague hope. This book is founded on a singular, powerful premise. The same principles that orchestrate the world's most ambitious external projects are the master keys to orchestrating the most important project you will ever lead: the deliberate development of your best self. This is not about squeezing your humanity into a sterile spreadsheet. It is the opposite. It is about applying structure to create freedom. It is about using the clarity of a defined scope to liberate your energy from confusion, using the roadmap of a plan to conquer anxiety, and using the rhythm of execution to build unshakable confidence. When you lack a system, your aspirations remain sketches on a napkin, inspiring but unrealized. A project management mindset provides the drafting table, the tools, and the phased construction plan. Here, we will reconceive your vision as a project charter, your goals as a work breakdown structure, your days as strategic sprints, and your progress as a series of measurable deliverables. You will learn to be both the visionary sponsor and the diligent project manager of your own existence, allocating your finite resources of time and energy with the precision of a master builder. This integration is where true power lies. It is the synergy of the inspirational why with the practical how. We marry the timeless quest for self-knowledge with the modern science of systematic achievement. Prepare to embark on a journey of transformative construction. We will move from the foundational initiation of your personal vision through the detailed planning of your blueprint into the disciplined execution of daily habits, guided by constant monitoring and courageous correction. This book offers more than a philosophy. It provides a replicable operating system for your potential. Let us begin the work of building not just successful projects, but a truly engineered, resilient, and magnificent life. Your greatest creation awaits its first, decisive schematic. Chapter 1: The Self as the Ultimate Project. We are builders of our own destinies, but we often work without a plan, using borrowed tools on a foundation we never inspected. The masterpiece of a life is rarely an accident. It is a project, meticulously managed from vision to completion. Adapted from James Allen. The Unmanaged Life, a universe of undelivered potential. Consider, for a moment, the raw material of a human life. It is a staggering portfolio of assets, approximately 4,000 weeks, a complex and adaptable mind capable of learning languages and symphonies, a resilient body, the capacity for deep emotion and connection, and the spark of conscious will. This is the project site. Yet, for most, this immense potential is managed with less strategy than a weekend grocery trip. Ambitions float like nebulous clouds. Be happy, be successful, be better, without ever condensing into the rain of actionable steps. We react, we respond, we are swept along by currents of obligation and digital distraction, our energy scattered, our focus fragmented. The unmanaged life, however passionately lived, risks becoming a chronicle of unfinished initiatives, unexplored talents, and unspoken truths. It is a project without a charter, a construction site where materials are delivered but no blueprint exists, leaving a haunting skeleton of what might have been. This chaos is not a personal failing. It is the default setting of an unstructured existence. Our brains, wired for survival and efficiency, will follow the path of least resistance unless directed by a higher-order system. Without a project plan for the self, we outsource our direction to the loudest demands. The ping of a notification, the urgency of others' agendas, the seductive escape of entertainment. We become mere maintenance crews on a structure we did not design, fixing leaks and painting over cracks, but never authoring the grand architectural vision for the space we inhabit. But what if there was another way? What if you could step off that reactive treadmill and onto the architect's dais? This shift in perspective is the profound genesis of all meaningful self-development. It begins with a single, powerful act of redefinition. You are not a passive site of events. You are an active, ongoing, and supremely important project. You are the sponsor who authorizes the work, the project manager who plans and executes it, and the primary stakeholder who will live with the results. This triad of roles empowers you completely. When you see your life as your ultimate project, every decision, every hour, every ounce of energy becomes a resource allocation decision. Suddenly, the vague desire to get in shape transforms into a defined project with a scope, improved cardiovascular health and strength, a timeline 6 months, deliverables run a 5K, lift a specific weight, and a resource plan gym membership 3 weekly time blocks. The fog lifts. Purpose finds a pathway. The project charter of your life, authorizing your own existence. Every formal project in the world begins with a foundational document, the project charter. This is not a detailed plan, but a statement of intent and authority. It answers the existential project questions. Why does this project exist? What is its ultimate objective? Who is empowered to make it happen? Astonishingly, for the project of self, most of us never pause to write this charter. We operate on inherited or assumed directives. It's time to author your own. Your personal project charter consists of 3 core pillars. 1. The vision statement, the done flag. This is your North Star, a vivid aspirational picture of the future state. It is not a task but a destination. A powerful vision is emotional and sensory. Don't just say be a leader, envision it. To stand with quiet confidence in a room of peers, guiding complex discussions with clarity and empathy, knowing my team feels supported and inspired to do their best work. This is your project's ultimate deliverable. It's what you see when you imagine the ribbon-cutting ceremony on this phase of your life. 2. The mission statement, your daily mandate. If the vision is the destination, the mission is the vehicle and the guiding principle for the journey. It defines your core purpose and approach now. It answers, how will I conduct myself en route to that vision? For example, to cultivate relentless curiosity and disciplined courage, using systematic learning and genuine connection to grow myself and elevate those around me every single day. This is the code of conduct for your inner project manager. 3. The core values, the immovable constraints. In project management, constraints, scope, time, cost define the playing field. In your life project, your core values are your non-negotiable ethical and operational constraints. They are the bedrock upon which you build. Is it integrity, family first, radical accountability, sustainable growth? List 3-5. When a project decision arises, a job offer, a relationship, a daily habit, you must check alignment with these values. A project that succeeds by violating its core constraints is a catastrophic failure. Drafting this charter is the initiation phase of your life project. It is the moment you, as sponsor, grant formal authority to yourself, the project manager, to proceed. It moves your development from a nice-to-have hobby to an authorized, vital undertaking. The work breakdown structure, WBS, of a human being. With a charter authorizing the why, we now confront the what. The sheer scale of building a better self can paralyze. This is where a fundamental project management tool becomes revolutionary. The work breakdown structure, WBS. The principle is simple. You cannot manage a massive, complex deliverable. You must decompose it into smaller, manageable components, and then decompose those further. until you arrive at individual, actionable work packages. Your holistic self is the level 1 deliverable. At level 2, we identify the major life areas or sub-projects that comprise it. These are unique to you, but common categories include the intellectual self, knowledge, skills, expertise, critical thinking. The physical self, health, fitness, nutrition, energy, rest. The emotional social self, relationships, empathy, communication, community. The spiritual essential self, purpose, mindfulness, values alignment, connection to something larger. The financial professional self, career, value creation, resource management, security. The magic happens at level 3 and beyond. Under the intellectual self, you might have master data analysis. Under that, complete advanced Python course. And under that, complete module 3 on pandas. Suddenly, the monolithic goal of get smarter has been broken down into today's 90-minute, focused work package. Complete pandas module 3 exercises. This decomposition is an act of cognitive liberation. It replaces anxiety with clarity. Each completed work package is a tangible brick laid in the edifice of your new self. The WBS makes progress visible and therefore motivating. It proves the project is moving forward. From wishes to work packages, the alchemy of action. The modern world is awash in inspiration. We are drowning in motivational quotes and vision board imagery. But inspiration without instantiation, without being turned into a concrete instance of work, is merely emotional caffeine. It gives a jittery high of possibility but leaves no lasting structure. The project management mindset forces the alchemy of turning wishes into work packages. It asks the brutal, productive questions. What does done look like, specifically? Not be healthy, but lower my resting heart rate to X and be able to do 30 consecutive push-ups. What are the component parts? To lower heart rate, I need consistent cardio. That requires scheduled sessions. That requires cleared time in my calendar. What is the very next, smallest action? Block 30 minutes for a run this Thursday at 7 a.m. Lay out my running gear tonight. This is the antithesis of magical thinking. It is engineering thinking applied to the soul. It recognizes that a magnificent cathedral is not built by fervently wishing for a cathedral. It is built by the meticulous, daily completion of laying stones, carving wood, and fitting glass. Your character, your capabilities, your legacy are no different. The power of positive thinking is only potent when it is the fuel for the engine of systematic action. The project plan is that engine. Embracing the dual role, compassionate manager and demanding sponsor. Herein lies a critical balance. As the project manager of yourself, you must be systematic, disciplined, and tracking towards milestones. You must manage the resources and mitigate the risks, like procrastination or burnout. This requires a clear-eyed, sometimes demanding, internal voice. However, you are also the human being undertaking the work. This is where a fatal error is often made. We become tyrannical project managers, berating ourselves for slippages, viewing ourselves as failing resources. This is why the role of the compassionate sponsor is vital. The sponsor, you, at the highest level, authorized this project out of belief in its value and care for the stakeholder, you, the human. When the project manager hits a snag, an illness, an emotional setback, a simple failure, the sponsor does not cancel the project. The sponsor provides support, reevaluates constraints, and reaffirms the charter. The timeline needs adjustment, but the vision remains. What resources do you need to get back on track? This internal dialogue between the disciplined manager who executes the plan and the wise sponsor who protects the person is the hallmark of sustainable self-development. It replaces guilt with governance and shame with strategic correction. The foundational truth, agency through architecture. To see yourself as the ultimate project is to claim absolute agency. It is to recognize that while you cannot control every external event, you retain supreme authority over your response, your focus, and the systems you use to shape your days. The chaos of the world does not have to be mirrored by chaos within. You can build an internal architecture of intention that stands resilient against the storm. This chapter is your cornerstone. By drafting your personal project charter, you have defined the why and granted authority. By conceptualizing your work breakdown structure, you have mapped the what and made it manageable. You have shifted your identity from a wanderer in a landscape of chance to an architect on a site of immense potential. The tools may feel unfamiliar, charters, WBS, work packages, but their function is ancient. They are the modern embodiment of the will to shape one's own clay. The unmanaged life asks, what is happening to me? The life managed as a project asks, what am I building today? The difference between those two questions is the difference between a story that happens to a character and a story that a character deliberately, courageously writes. Your blueprint is now in your hands. The project of you is officially initiated. Let us move to the next phase, where we translate this blueprint into a detailed, actionable plan, the art of planning your becoming. The first step in the acquisition of wisdom is silence, the second listening, the third memory, the fourth practice, the fifth teaching others. But the scaffold that holds this entire staircase aloft is a system, a silent, steadfast commitment to the order of progress. Adapted from Solomon ibn Gabirol. Chapter 2. Initiation. Defining your vision and earning your own charter. The future is not some place we are going, but one we are creating. The paths are not to be found, but made. And the activity of making them changes both the maker and the destination. John H. Shar. The paralysis of the unauthorized. We stand perpetually at the precipice of beginning. Inside each of us resides a whisper of a grander version, a latent capacity waiting to be activated. Yet so often, that whisper is drowned out by a cacophony of internal bureaucracy. A committee of doubt, fear of judgment, and the comfortable inertia of the status quo convenes a perpetual meeting, and the vote is always the same. Not yet. The conditions aren't perfect. We need more data. Who are you to try? This is the state of being unauthorized, living with aspirations, but lacking the internal signature to sanction their pursuit. You are an employee of your own life, waiting for a promotion from a boss who never shows up. Project management wisdom teaches that before a single resource is allocated, before the first task is defined, a fundamental act must occur: initiation. This is the formal, deliberate process of defining the project's purpose, its feasibility, and most critically, issuing a charter, a document that confers authority and legitimacy. In the corporate world, this charter comes from a sponsor. For the project of you, there is only one source of legitimate authority: yourself. The central work of this chapter, then, is the act of self-authorization. It is learning to be the unwavering sponsor of your own becoming, to silence the committee of doubt with a clear, signed decree that states, "This project is approved. It is worthy. It will proceed." This initiation is not a passive daydream. It is an active, declarative process. It moves you from being a subject of your circumstances. Life is happening to me, to the sovereign of your intent. I am directing my life towards this. Without this formal initiation, your goals remain wishes, ethereal, weightless, and easily scattered by the first strong wind of difficulty. A chartered project, however, possesses ballast. It has a defined why that provides stability in stormy seas. When the work gets hard, and it will, you do not default to asking, "Why am I doing this?" You refer back to the charter. You remember the authority you granted yourself. You recommit. Crafting the compass, the elements of your personal project charter. Your personal project charter is your foundational constitution. It is not a to-do list. It is a declaration of identity and intent. It consists of 4 critical components, each designed to answer a fundamental question of your existence. 1. The project vision statement, answering, what is the ultimate change I seek to create? A vision is a vivid, compelling picture of the future state you are committed to creating. It is the dun flag on the distant hill. A powerful vision is sensory and emotional. It is not be successful. It is to stand in a sunlit studio of my own design, the smell of pine and fresh paint in the air, turning raw materials into objects of beauty that connect with people's hearts, achieving a flow state of creation every single day. Or to sit around a large, noisy dinner table decades from now, surrounded by a family I have nurtured, listening to the intertwined stories of loved ones who feel seen and supported, knowing I provided the foundation for this joy. Exercise. Describe your life in 3-5 years using all 5 senses. What do you see, hear, feel, taste, and touch in this realized vision? Write it in the present tense as if it is already true. This becomes your North Star. 2. The project mission statement. Answering. How will I operate to achieve that vision? If the vision is the destination, the mission is the vehicle and the rules of the road. It defines your core purpose and guiding principles today. It is your daily mantra of action. A mission is active and present tense. Example. My mission is to approach each day with rigorous curiosity and compassionate discipline, to build systems that elevate my energy and focus, to learn one new thing daily, and to leave every person I encounter feeling slightly more valued than before. Exercise. Complete the sentence. My fundamental purpose right now is to buy Eing and Eing. This is the engine of your daily project management. 3. The core values and success criteria. Answering. What principles are non-negotiable? How will I measure success? Values are your project's immovable constraints, the bedrock upon which everything is built. They are the ethical and operational guardrails. Integrity, courage, family first, lifelong learning, sustainability. Choose 3-5 that are sacred. Any project, task, or decision that violates a core value is immediately rejected, no matter how expedient. Simultaneously, you must define success criteria. These are the objective, measurable indicators that your project is on track. These are not just external metrics, income, weight, but internal ones. I feel a deep sense of alignment most days. I recover from setbacks within 48 hours. I am consistently proud of my effort, if not always the outcome. Exercise. List your non-negotiable values. For each, write one sentence defining what it looks like in action. Then, draft 3-5 holistic success criteria for your life project. 4. The stakeholder analysis. Answering. Whom does this project serve and impact? This is a profound and often overlooked step. You are the primary stakeholder, but you are not the only one. Your personal project ripples out. Your family, your friends, your colleagues, your community, they are all impacted by your development or stagnation. Mapping this out fosters responsibility and wisdom. Primary stakeholder. You, your future self, is your most important client. Key stakeholders. Immediate family, close friends, mentor, S. Secondary stakeholders. Colleagues, community members, your broader network. Exercise. List your key stakeholders. For each, consider, what do they need from me? What do I need from them? How will my growth benefit them? This analysis ensures your project is not a selfish endeavor, but a contribution, a rising tide that lifts all boats. Conducting the feasibility study. Confronting reality with courage. A responsible sponsor does not authorize a project without a sanity check. This is your personal feasibility study. It is not an exercise in doubt, but in strategic clarity. Ask yourself with brutal honesty. Resources. Do I currently possess, or can I acquire, the necessary time, energy, knowledge, and capital, financial and emotional? Risks. What are the primary threats to this project? Internal, procrastination, fear of failure. External, economic shifts, family obligations. Acknowledging them now disarms their power later. Assumptions. What am I assuming to be true? I will have the willpower. The market will support this. My health will remain stable. Writing them down allows you to monitor them. This study doesn't seek to kill the project, but to strengthen it. It transforms naive optimism into informed commitment. You are not hopping for the best. You are preparing for reality, ensuring your charter is built on a foundation of honest assessment, not wishful thinking. The signing ceremony, the ritual of self-authorization. Here is where theory becomes power. You must formalize your charter. This is a psychological pivot point of immense significance. Write it down. Physically write your vision, mission, values, success criteria, and key stakeholders on a single, beautiful page. The act of writing engages the brain differently than typing. It is a covenant you make with yourself. Create a ritual. Choose a significant time. Light a candle, go to a meaningful spot, or simply find a quiet morning hour. Read your charter aloud to yourself. Hear the words in your own voice. Sign and date it. Put your signature on it. This is not childish. It is symbolic of the highest order. You are the sponsor granting authority to the project manager. You are the sovereign signing the decree. Place it sacredly. Put this charter somewhere you will see it daily, inside your planner, as the background on your devices, framed on your wall. It is not a secret document. It is your public declaration, even if the public is only you. The antidote to imposter syndrome. Legitimacy from within. Imposter syndrome, the debilitating feeling that you are a fraud, unworthy of your own goals, thrives in the shadow of an unauthorized existence. It is the committee of doubt running the show. Your personal project charter is the ultimate antidote. When the feeling arises that you are not the right person to build this business, write that book, or achieve that health goal, you do not argue with the feeling. You simply point to the charter. You say, I understand the feeling, but it is irrelevant. The authority has been granted. The project is approved. My job is not to question my worthiness, but to execute the plan as the duly authorized project manager. This shifts the internal dialogue from a debate about identity, am I good enough, to a focus on execution, what is the next work package? The charter externalizes the source of legitimacy. It is no longer a fuzzy feeling of confidence you must gin up. It is a document, a fact. You authorized it. Therefore, you are authorized. Initiating the rest of your life. Initiation is the most courageous phase because it requires you to define what matters in the face of a world that will happily define it for you. It is the moment you plant your flag in the soil of your own potential and claim the territory. This charter does not lock you into an unchangeable path. In fact, it gives you the stable foundation from which to adapt. All projects encounter scope changes and unexpected risks, but with a clear charter, you can adjust the plan without losing sight of the purpose. You are now no longer an employee waiting for instructions. You are the board of directors, the CEO, and the majority shareholder of You, Inc. You have held the meeting, reviewed the proposal, and voted unanimously to proceed. The resolution has passed. The funds, your time, your energy, your life force, are allocated. With this formal authority in hand, the abstract vision now demands a concrete blueprint. The why is established. The work of determining the what, when, and how begins. You have initiated the project. Now you must plan it. Turn the page, project manager. The detailed blueprint of your becoming awaits. The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. The fears are paper tigers. You can do anything you decide to do. You can act to change and control your life, and the procedure, the process is its own reward. Amelia Earhart. Chapter 3. Planning, the blueprint of becoming. A goal without a plan is just a wish, but a plan is more than a list. It is a testament of faith in a future you have chosen to create. It is the bridge between the vision in your soul and the reality in your hands. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, adapted. The architecture of ambition. Why blueprints precede buildings. We now stand at a critical juncture. The charter is signed, its ink dry, a declaration of intent that echoes in the silent chamber of your resolve. You have authorized the project of your becoming, but authorization alone cannot raise walls or lay foundations. A vision without a detailed plan is merely a haunting ghost of potential, whispering of what could be but lacking the substance to become. Planning is the alchemical process of turning the gold of your vision into the lead of actionable reality. It is the meticulous, patient, and profoundly creative work of architecture for a life. Consider the master builders of history. Before a single stone of a cathedral was laid, years were spent on the tracing floor, drawing full-scale plans, calculating load distributions, envisioning the interplay of light and stone. This planning was not a delay of the real work, it was the foundational work. It transformed a spiritual aspiration into a buildable sequence of tasks. To skip this phase is to start construction with only a spire in mind, guaranteeing collapse under the weight of disorganization and unforeseen strain. In the context of self-development, planning is the act of constructing a temporal and logical bridge from your present self to your envisioned future self. It is how you navigate the terrifying, exhilarating truth. The future is an empty space, and you are its architect. Without a plan, you are left to wander that space, buffeted by the winds of circumstance, building makeshift shelters of convenience. With a plan, you survey the land, pour the footings, and begin the disciplined, day-by-day assembly of a durable structure. This chapter provides the tools for that survey: the work breakdown structure, the personal Gantt chart, the resource allocation matrix, and the risk register. These are not corporate jargon, but the time-tested schematics for human achievement. The work breakdown structure, WBS, conquering the mountain one stone at a time. The sheer scale of build a better me or launch a new career is paralyzing. The human brain, wired to avoid overwhelming cognitive load, responds to such monolithic goals with a fight, flight, or freeze reaction, often manifesting as procrastination. The work breakdown structure, WBS, is the definitive antidote to this paralysis. The principle is elegant. You cannot eat a whole elephant, but you can eat it one bite at a time. A WBS is the process of hierarchically decomposing your grand vision, the elephant, into smaller, manageable components, and then decomposing those further until you arrive at individual, actionable work packages, the single, digestible bites. Level 1, the project deliverable. The elevated self, phase 1, or established independent consulting business. Level 2, major life areas or project phases. These are your key project streams. For the self, they may be intellectual development, physical vitality, financial architecture, relationship ecosystem. For a business, product development, marketing, sales, operations. Level 3, key goals within each area, under intellectual development. Achieve data analytics certification. Read 24 nonfiction books. Master public speaking. Level 4, major milestones, under achieve certification. Enroll in course. Complete module 1. Finish final project. Pass exam. Level 5, work packages, the atomic unit of action. These are the smallest assignable tasks. Watch lecture 3.1 45 min. Complete quiz 2. Schedule 2-hour block for final project analysis. Creating a WBS is an act of cognitive liberation. It replaces the anxiety of the immense with the clarity of the immediate. Suddenly, reinvent my career is no longer a terrifying abstraction. Today's task is simply research 3 target companies on LinkedIn or rewrite the first paragraph of my professional bio. Each completed work package is a tangible brick laid in your edifice. The WBS makes invisible progress visible, providing a constant stream of micro-victories that fuel momentum. It proves, on a daily basis, that the project is moving forward. Scheduling your ascent, the personal Gantt chart, and the power of dependencies. With your WBS defined, you have a list of all the bricks. Now you must determine the sequence and timeline for laying them. This is where scheduling comes in, and the Gantt chart, a visual timeline of tasks, becomes an indispensable tool for the self-architect. A personal Gantt chart doesn't require complex software. A simple calendar or timeline diagram suffices. Its power lies in forcing you to think in terms of dependencies and duration. Dependencies. This is the golden insight of scheduling. Certain tasks cannot start until others are finished. You cannot practice a speech, task B, before you write it, task A. You cannot apply for a promotion, task B, before you've documented your achievements, task A. Identifying these finish to start dependencies creates a logical, non-negotiable flow for your efforts. It reveals the critical path, the sequence of dependent tasks that determines the minimum project timeline. Understanding your critical path for, say, a career transition prevents you from frivolously focusing on peripheral tasks, like designing a business card, when you should be focused on the foundational task, like acquiring a core skill. Duration and time blocking. For each work package, estimate a realistic duration. Then, the most crucial step, translate duration into scheduled time blocks on your calendar. Learn Python is a fantasy. Block 9:10 a.m. every Tuesday, Thursday for Python course is a plan. This act of time blocking is a sacred contract with your future self. It treats your personal development with the same respect as a client meeting, immovable, non-negotiable. The Gantt chart visually reveals if you are being realistic. If your timeline shows you need 30 hours of work per week on your project, but you've only blocked 5, the chart forces a necessary confrontation. You must extend the timeline or increase your weekly commitment. Resource allocation, the prudent steward of your life force. Every project manager knows that a plan is only as good as its resource forecast. For your personal project, your primary resources are not lumber and steel, but time, energy, attention, and capital, TEAC. Time, finite and irreplaceable. Your Gantt chart is your first pass at time allocation. Energy, your physical and mental fuel. A 2-hour block in the evening may be time, but if your energy is depleted, it's a useless resource allocation. Plan demanding cognitive work, deep work on your certification for your peak energy periods, e.g., morning. Schedule administrative tasks, filing, emails for lower energy troughs. Attention, your scarcest modern resource. A time block is worthless if your attention is fractured by notifications and multitasking. Plan for focused attention by defining the environment. Phone on airplane mode, website blockers active, a clear single task. Capital, financial resources for courses, tools, or health investments, and the social-emotional capital required from your support network. The planning phase demands you audit your TEAC resources honestly. You create a simple budget. To achieve my health goal, I will allocate 5 hours week time, prime morning energy, focused gym sessions without phone attention, and $100 month for a trainer nutritionist capital. This prevents the common failure of planning only with time, then wondering why you're exhausted, distracted, and broke. The risk register, anticipating the storms. A naive plan assumes perfect conditions. A robust plan anticipates headwinds. The risk register is a proactive tool for resilience. It involves identifying risks. What could go wrong? Internal, loss of motivation, illness, burnout. External, a family emergency, a market shift, a key supporter withdrawing. Assessing probability and impact. Rate each risk, e.g., high, medium, low, for its likelihood and its potential damage to your project. Developing mitigation plans. For high probability, high impact risks, plan your response now. If the risk is burnout, your mitigation might be: schedule mandatory 1-day digital detox every 2 weeks and define 3 early warning signs: irritability, sleep disruption, loss of joy. If the risk is loss of motivation, your mitigation might be: keep a wide journal open next to my workspace and schedule a monthly accountability call with my mentor. Creating a risk register transforms you from a victim of circumstance to a prepared commander. It doesn't prevent storms, but it ensures you have a sturdy coat and a known path to shelter. It builds antifragility directly into your blueprint. The living document, planning as iteration, not inscription. The final, vital mindset shift is to see your plan not as a stone tablet, but as a living document, a hypothesis to be tested in the laboratory of your lived experience. The Prussian military strategist Helmuth von Moltke famously said, "No plan survives first contact with the enemy." In self-development, the enemy is often reality's delightful complexity and your own evolving understanding. Therefore, your blueprint must have flexibility built in. Schedule weekly plan review sessions. Did that task take twice as long as estimated? Adjust future durations. Did a new, more efficient path emerge? Redraw the dependencies. Was a core assumption from your charter challenged? Revisit and refine. Planning is not about creating a rigid, confining cage. It is about drawing a detailed map for a journey into unknown territory. The map allows you to navigate with confidence, but you must be willing to redraw it when you discover a new river or a faster pass through the mountains. The plan serves you. You do not serve the plan. With your WBS defined, your Gantt chart drafted, your resources allocated, and your risks acknowledged, you have moved from the realm of ideas into the realm of actionable design. You have stared at the empty plot of your future and returned with detailed schematics, a materials list, and a realistic timeline. The vision is no longer a phantom. It is a buildable structure. The authorization is complete. The blueprint is in hand. Now the only thing left is to build, to move from the tracing floor to the construction site, to exchange the pen for the trowel. The phase of planning culminates in a single, powerful transition, the commitment to execution. Plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work. The plan is the promise, the work is the fulfillment. Peter Drucker. Chapter 4. Execution. The discipline of daily delivery. Vision without execution is hallucination. Execution without discipline is chaos. But when the blueprint in the mind meets the hammer in the hand, a new reality is forged in the furnace of daily effort. Thomas Edison, Adapted. The execution gap, where dreams go to die. We have now arrived at the great chasm that separates nearly every human being from their imagined future. It is not a chasm of resources, talent, or even opportunity. It is the execution gap, the vast, silent space between the immaculate plan and the first, faltering step of action. This is where elegantly color-coded Gantt charts meet the relentless friction of Monday morning. It is where the pristine blueprint, so full of promise, first encounters the unpredictable, messy reality of the construction site. Consider the metaphor in its full weight. You are the architect who has spent months on the tracing floor. The plans are perfect. The load-bearing calculations are precise. The vision of the soaring cathedral is alive in your mind. You step onto the site, plans in hand. The ground is uneven. The weather turns. Materials are delayed. The crew is uncertain. This moment, the transition from planning to building, is the most perilous in any project. It is the moment of truth where theory is stress-tested by reality. In self-development, this crew is your own fluctuating willpower. The weather is your shifting emotional state. The materials are your daily energy reserves. And the architect, you must now also become the foreman, the laborer, and the quality control inspector all at once. Execution is the phase where self-development stops being an intellectual exercise and becomes a physical, psychological, and emotional endeavor. It is the accumulation of mundanity, the 10,000 repetitions, the stubborn focus when inspiration flees, the choice of the difficult right action over the easy wrong one. This chapter is about building the systems, rhythms, and mindset that allow you to not just step across the execution gap, but to build a durable bridge over it, one disciplined day at a time. The agile self, sprints, stand-ups, and the art of adaptive doing. Traditional project management often evokes a rigid, waterfall-like process. For the dynamic, living project of the self, a more fluid framework is essential. Enter agile methodology, not as a corporate buzzword, but as a profound philosophy for human growth. Agile at its core is about iterative progress, rapid feedback, and adaptive planning. Translated for personal use, it revolves around two powerful rituals: sprints and stand-ups. Personal sprints. A sprint is a short, time-boxed period, typically 1-4 weeks, during which you commit to completing a set of specific, high-value tasks from your WBS. Instead of staring at a 12-month Gantt chart, you focus only on the next 2 weeks. Your question changes from the overwhelming, "How will I ever achieve my annual goal?" to the manageable, "What can I accomplish in the next 14 days to advance my project?" You select 3-5 key work packages, e.g., complete chapters 1-3, of course, have 3 networking conversations, run 15 total miles. This creates a powerful psychological container for effort. The finish line is always visible. The daily stand-up. This is a sub-ritual within the sprint. Each morning in 3-5 minutes, you stand literally, if possible, and ask yourself 3 questions. What did I deliver yesterday that moved my key projects forward? This forces acknowledgement of progress, however small. What will I deliver today to move forward? This creates daily intentionality, linking today's actions to the sprint goal. What impediments are blocking me? This is crucial for proactive problem solving. This daily audit transforms execution from a vague, work hard, into a precise, accountable practice. It is the foreman's morning huddle with the most important crew member, yourself. The Kanban of becoming, visualizing your workflow. If Agile provides the rhythm, Kanban provides the visual workflow. The core of Kanban is a simple board with 3 columns: to do, doing, done. Your personal Kanban board, which can be physical, a whiteboard or sticky notes, or digital, apps like Trello or Notion, is a dynamic, real-time map of your execution. To do, this is your sprint backlog, the work packages you've committed to for this cycle. It is a promise. Doing, this column should be ruthlessly limited, ideally to 1-3 items. This enforces focus. You are not doing your entire life. You are doing the single most important task right now. Multitasking is the enemy of execution. It fractures attention and guarantees mediocrity. The doing column is a sacred space for singular focus. Done, this is your trophy case. The act of physically moving a task card from doing to done triggers a dopamine release, a small but vital reward that reinforces the execution habit. A full done column at the end of a sprint provides visual, incontrovertible proof of progress. The power of Kanban is in its transparency. It makes work visible, limits work in progress to prevent overwhelm, and highlights bottlenecks. If a card languishes in doing for days, it's a clear signal the task is too large or you're blocked, triggering a return to your daily stand-up's 3rd question. What impediment is blocking me? The deep work sanctuary, executing in the age of distraction. Execution in the 21st century is not merely about effort. It is about protected, focused effort. The greatest enemy of your personal project is not laziness, but diffused attention. Every ping, notification, and quick check is a micro-cost paid in cognitive switching time, shattering the state of flow necessary for high-quality execution. Therefore, you must engineer deep work sanctuaries. This is the practice of scheduling, in advance, blocks of 61-20 minutes where you will work on a single, cognitively demanding task from your doing column with intense, uninterrupted focus. To defend these sanctuaries, declare the boundary, inform those around you, use a physical sign if needed. Remove the digital temptation. Phone on airplane mode in another room. Use website blockers, freedom, cold turkey to eliminate digital rabbit holes. Set a clear objective. In this 90-minute block, I will draft the first 500 words of Chapter 1. A clear finish line focuses the mind. Start with ritual. A specific cup of tea, 5 minutes of deep breathing, tidying your desk, a consistent ritual signals to your brain. It is time to go deep. These sanctuaries are where the real construction happens. They are where you lay the heavy stones, pour the firm foundations. Shallow work, email, administrative tasks, passive consumption is the mortar. It is necessary, but it must not be allowed to consume the time allotted for laying the stones. The momentum of micro-wins, fuel for the long haul. Grand visions can feel distant. Annual goals can lose their motivational pull by February. Execution, therefore, must be powered by a more immediate fuel, the momentum of micro-wins. A micro-win is the successful completion of any defined work package. It is moving the card to done. It is finishing your daily stand-up. It is completing a deep work block as intended. The neuroscience is clear. Each completed task, no matter how small, triggers a release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, motivation, and memory. By deliberately designing your execution to generate a steady stream of micro-wins, you are chemically reinforcing the behavior you want. You are making execution itself rewarding. Celebrate these wins. Acknowledge them in your evening journal. Let the satisfaction of a finished task be its own reward. This creates a positive feedback loop. Action, right arrow, completion, right arrow, reward, dopamine, right arrow, desire for more action. Momentum is not a mysterious force. It is the compound interest of daily micro-wins. Managing the internal stakeholder, the compassionate foreman. During execution, a critical internal dynamic emerges. The project manager, you disciplined, focused, system-driven, must now manage the human being you tired, emotional, susceptible to doubt and distraction. If the project manager becomes a tyrannical slave driver, berating the human for every slippage, rebellion, and burnout are inevitable. You must learn to be a compassionate foreman. This means listening to feedback. If the human is consistently exhausted by 4 p.m., the foreman shouldn't schedule a deep work block then. Adjust the plan. Providing encouragement. The foreman notices and praises good work. You really focused well in that last block. Good job. Approving strategic breaks. The foreman knows that a 15-minute walk or a true lunch break away from the screen is not shirking. It is resource management, replenishing the crew's energy. Renegotiating scope. If an unexpected life event, a sick child, a personal crisis arises, the compassionate foreman doesn't yell about the schedule. They convene a meeting with the sponsor, you, and say, given this new constraint, we need to adjust the sprint goals. What can we responsibly deliver this week? This internal partnership between the disciplined executor and the compassionate human is the key to sustainable execution. It ensures the project is built not on a foundation of self-loathing and grinding willpower, but on self-respect and intelligent adaptation. Execution is where character is forged. It is the daily, gritty, unglamorous work of laying brick upon brick. It is the proof of your commitment. Your plan was a hypothesis. Your execution is the experiment. The data you gather here, about your real capacity, your true rhythms, your unforeseen obstacles, is the most valuable information in the world, for it is the truth about you as a builder. With the engine of execution now running, powered by agile sprints, visualized by Kanban, protected in deep work sanctuaries, and fueled by microwinds, you are no longer just holding a blueprint. You are actively raising the walls of your new reality. But to ensure they are straight, strong, and leading toward your vision, you must now learn to measure, to assess, and to correct. You must install the tools of oversight. You have moved from planning to building. Now, you must learn the art of steering. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. The secret of getting started is breaking your complex, overwhelming tasks into small, manageable tasks, and then starting on the first one. Mark Twain. Chapter 5. MONITORNG and Controlling. The Compass and the CORRECTONS. What is not measured cannot be managed, and what is not managed cannot be improved. But beware, the unexamined metric becomes a tyrant, and the unfeeling manager a fool. True control is the marriage of data with discernment. W. Edwards Deming, adapted. The delusion of unchecked progress. Imagine a ship's captain setting a course from Lisbon to the New World. He has a brilliant plan, a sturdy vessel, and a crew in the midst of vigorous execution, rowing, trimming sails, working with admirable discipline. Yet he has sealed himself in his cabin. He has no compass, no astrolabe, no method of taking a celestial fix, and no log to record his journey. He operates on the fervent belief that because the crew is rowing hard, they must be on course. The result is inevitable. They will drift, carried by hidden currents and blown by unforeseen winds, until they finally make landfall on a shore that is not their destination, if they make landfall at all. Their effort was real, but their progress was a delusion. This is the fate of any self-development project that executes without monitoring and controlling. Execution without oversight is effort without direction. The feel-good momentum of being busy can mask a dangerous drift away from your true objectives. Monitoring is your compass and your sextant. It is the act of taking a fix on your current position. Controlling is the act of turning the wheel, adjusting the sails, and issuing new orders based on that fix. It is the disciplined, unsentimental process of ensuring that the trajectory of your daily actions remains aligned with the destination of your charter. This phase is where the project manager moves from cheerleader to scientist, from foreman to navigator. It requires a shift from pure doing to a rhythm of do, check, adjust. It demands that you cultivate a relationship with data about your own life, not as a cold, judging overseer, but as a curious, compassionate investigator seeking the truth of your progress. The dashboard of the self, defining personal KPIs. In the business world, key performance indicators, KPIs, are the vital signs of a project. For the self, we must define personal key performance indicators, PKPIs, the metrics that truly matter for your specific vision. This is a critical act of discernment. The wrong metrics will lead you astray, creating vanity goals that sparkle but lack substance. The right metrics illuminate the path. PKPIs must be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. But they must also be heartfelt, honest, ethical, aligned, resonant, true. They exist on two levels. Lagging indicators. These are the outcome-based, final results. They are often what we traditionally think of as goals. Achieve a promotion by Q4, lose 15 pounds, save $10,000. They are crucial, but like a final exam grade, they only tell you the result, not how you got there. Leading indicators. These are the behavioral, process-based metrics that predict the lagging indicators. They are the true levers of control. If your lagging indicator is lose 15 pounds, your leading indicators might be average daily calorie intake below 2,100, complete 4 strength training sessions per week, average 7+ hours of sleep per night. You control the leading indicators directly. They are your daily and weekly compass points. Exercise. For each of your major WBS categories, define 1-2 lagging indicators, your destination, and 3-5 leading indicators, your weekly daily steering metrics. For intellectual self, a lagging indicator might be publish an article. Leading indicators would be write 500 words daily, consume 2 hours of targeted learning weekly, have 1 idea curation session every Sunday. The ritual of the weekly review, your project status meeting. The cornerstone of effective monitoring is the weekly review. This is a non-negotiable, sacred 60-90 minute block, ideally at the end of your work week, where you step out of the role of the laborer and into the role of the project manager and navigator. This is your formal project status meeting with your most important stakeholder, yourself. A structured weekly review follows a clear agenda. Close the loop. Gather all your open loops, notes, unfinished tasks, meeting notes, receipts. Process them. This clears cognitive clutter. Review PKPIs and metrics. Look at your leading indicators for the week. Did you hit your targets for deep work hours, workouts, learning time? Do not judge, simply record the data. Look at your calendar for the week past. Where did your time actually go versus where you planned for it to go? Conduct a sprint retrospective. If using agile sprints, ask, what went well? What didn't? What did I learn? What should I start, stop, or continue? Update your systems. Clear your Kanban board. Move unfinished tasks to the next sprint or back to the backlog. Update your Gantt chart with actual progress versus planned progress. This resets your workspace. Plan the coming week. With the data from the past week in mind, intentionally schedule the next week's deep work blocks, health rituals, and family time. This is not just copying tasks, but strategically placing them in your calendar based on your energy patterns and learnings. Reconnect to the vision. Reread your personal project charter. Look at your vision statement. Does the work of the past week feel aligned? This is the spiritual recalibration, ensuring your metrics are serving your mission, not replacing it. The weekly review transforms you from a passive participant in your week to its active author. It is the control tower bringing all flights in for a landing, refueling, and sending them back out with a clear flight plan. Earned value analysis for your life, the true cost of your effort. One of the most powerful and underutilized tools from project management is earned value analysis, EVA. It sounds complex, but its core question is revolutionary for self-development. For the time and energy I have invested, the cost. What is the tangible value I have earned towards my goal? Let's simplify it into a personal framework. Planned value, PV, the value you plan to create by this point. E.g., by week 4, I plan to have completed 50% of my online course, which I value as a key milestone. Earned value, EV, the value you actually created. E.g., I have only completed 30% of the course. Your EV is 30% of the total project's value. Actual cost, AC, the resources you actually spent. This isn't just money, it's the 15 hours of time and mental energy you invested. Now ask 2 vital questions. Schedule variance, SV equals EV PV. Am I ahead or behind schedule? 30%, 50% equals minus 20%. I am behind schedule. Cost variance, CV equals EVAC. Am I getting a good return on my effort? This is trickier with time, but you can assess. Does completing 30% of the course feel worth the 15 hours of strained, distracted effort I put in? Or could I have earned that 30% with 10 hours of focused work? This analysis moves you beyond the binary of I worked hard or I failed. It gives you a nuanced diagnostic. You are behind schedule, SV negative. The question is why? Is it because you underestimated the task, a planning error? Or because you worked the hours but were distracted, an execution quality error? This tells you precisely where to apply your controlling action, revise the plan, or improve the focus of your execution. Change control. The protocol for intelligent pivots. A rigid plan shatters under pressure. A plan without a backbone drifts into oblivion. Change control is the formal protocol that navigates between these two extremes. It is the process for evaluating, approving, and implementing necessary changes to your project plan without succumbing to whims or panic. When you discover a variance, like the -20% schedule variance above, or when life throws a legitimate curveball, an illness, a family need, a new opportunity, you don't simply abandon the plan. You initiate a change control process. Change request. Clearly define the proposed change. I need to extend my course completion deadline by 2 weeks. Impact analysis. What is the impact on other goals? Does this delay my promotion timeline? Does it affect my weekly schedule? Does it violate a core value? Decision. As the sponsor and project manager, you make a conscious, documented decision. Approve, deny, or defer. If you approve, you formally update your charter, WBS, and schedule. Communication. If others are key stakeholders, a partner, a mentor, you communicate the reason change. This protocol prevents the two great sins of self-development: gritting your teeth through an obsolete plan until you burn out, and abandoning your vision at the first sign of difficulty. It builds strategic flexibility and maturity. It ensures that changes are made not from a place of fear or laziness, but from a place of informed stewardship. The compassionate controller. Data as feedback, not judgment. This entire phase risks creating a monster. The hypercritical, data-obsessed self-manager who sees every missed metric as a personal failure. The controlling function must be tempered with the wisdom of the compassionate foreman from the execution chapter. Your PKPI data is feedback, not a final judgment. It is information from the field. If your weekly reading hours metric is consistently low, the compassionate controller doesn't say, "You're a failure." They inquire, "Is this goal still relevant? Was my target unrealistic? Is my environment not conducive to reading? What adjustment would make this sustainable?" The data points to a discrepancy. Your humanity and wisdom must diagnose the cause. Monitoring and controlling is, at its highest level, a practice of loving accountability. It is saying to yourself, "This vision matters so much to me that I am willing to look at the unvarnished truth of my progress, not to punish myself, but to empower myself to make the necessary corrections." It is the ultimate act of respect for your own time and potential. With your compass in hand and your correction protocols established, you are no longer a ship adrift. You are a navigator, capable of crossing vast oceans of time and effort, arriving precisely at the destination you chose. But no project exists in a vacuum. Yourself is not a solitary vessel, but part of a vast and bustling fleet. To avoid collisions and to sail in favorable convoy, you must now learn to manage not just your ship, but your entire nautical portfolio. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. Monitoring gives you those new eyes. Controlling gives you the steady hand on the tiller to steer by what you see. Marcel Proust, Adapted. Chapter 6, Integration and Synergy, Managing Your Life's Portfolio. You are not a machine with separate compartments. You are an ecosystem. To optimize a single variable in isolation is to risk the collapse of the whole. True mastery lies not in compartmentalization, but in symphonic integration. Fritjof Capra, Adapted. The peril of the siloed self. Up to this point, we have mastered the art of managing a single, focused project. The development of a specific skill, the achievement of a health goal, the launch of a venture. We have learned to charter, plan, execute, and control with precision. But here lies a seductive and dangerous trap: the belief that we can optimize one area of our lives in isolation, as if it exists in a sterile laboratory, untouched by the swirling chaos of the rest of our existence. This is the myth of the siloed self. It is the entrepreneur who works 80-hour weeks to build a business, only to find their health shattered and their family estranged. It is the fitness enthusiast who achieves peak physical condition through obsessive routine, at the cost of intellectual stagnation and social isolation. It is the diligent parent who pours everything into their children, then wakes at 50 to a sense of personal emptiness. These are not stories of failure in a single project, but of catastrophic success in one domain funded by the bankruptcy of others. They represent a profound failure of portfolio management. Your life is not a single project. It is a portfolio of interdependent projects. The career project, the health and vitality project, the family and relationships project, the financial security project, the personal growth and spirituality project, all are running concurrently, competing for the same finite resources: your time, your energy, your attention, and your emotional capacity. The goal, therefore, shifts from mere project success to portfolio optimization. The aim is not to maximize any single project's return, but to achieve the highest possible aggregate return across your entire life ecosystem, ensuring sustainability, resilience, and holistic fulfillment. This is the art of integration and the science of synergy. The Life Portfolio Dashboard: from fragmentation to unified awareness. To manage a portfolio, you must first be able to see all of it in one place. You need a life portfolio dashboard. This is a single, dynamic view, a dedicated notebook, a digital dashboard in Notion or Obsidian, a physical wall chart that displays the status of all your major life projects simultaneously. The dashboard should at a glance show: project/area, the major life categories: health, career, relationships, finance, learning, spirit contribution. Current charter vision, a one-sentence reminder of the why for each. Key PKPIs, leading and lagging, the 2-3 vital signs for each area, e.g. health, sleep HRS/week, workout consistency, energy level out of 10. Relationships, quality one-on-one connections per week, planned family events. Current status, a simple rag, red, amber, green rating, or a weekly trend arrow, up arrow, right arrow, down arrow. Top 1-3 priority actions, the most important next steps for the coming week in each area. Creating and reviewing this dashboard weekly, as part of your expanded review ritual, forces you out of the tunnel vision of your current pet project. It is the strategic command center from which you can see if your furious focus on a career milestone is draining the health project to critical levels, or if your intense social calendar is starving the learning project of resources. Awareness is the first and most non-negotiable step of integration. Strategic resource allocation, the art of life's budget. In corporate portfolio management, capital is allocated to projects based on strategic alignment and projected return. In your life, your resources are time-energy units, TEUs. You have a finite budget of them each day, each week. The siloed self makes the critical error of allowing the most urgent or vociferous project to consume TEUs via a form of emotional deficit spending, leaving others bankrupt. Integration requires you to become the deliberate chief resource officer of your life. This means making conscious, often difficult, allocation decisions in advance. It is a budgeting process. Audit in your weekly review, look at your calendar and energy log. Where did your TEUs actually go last week? Allocate intentionally. For the coming week, based on your portfolio dashboard, schedule TEUs for each key area before the week begins. This might look like: block 5 hours for deep career work, Project A, 3 hours for relationship nurturing date night calls, Project B, 4 hours for physical health, Project C, 2 hours for learning, Project D. This is not about rigid equality, but about strategic sufficiency. No key project should be left with a 0 TEU budget for extended periods. Enforce boundaries. When you are in a health TEU block, e.g., at the gym, You are not mentally allocating those units to career anxiety. You must be fully present. This compartmentalization within the schedule is what allows for holistic integration across the schedule. The synergy engine, creating cross-project value. Integration is about preventing harm. Synergy is the higher goal, creating a situation where progress in one life project actively fuels and accelerates progress in another. This is where the portfolio becomes greater than the sum of its parts. It is the alchemy of holistic living. You must become an engineer of these synergistic links. Ask yourself, how can my health project fuel my career project? Answer, better sleep, right arrow, sharper cognitive function, right arrow, higher quality work output in fewer hours. Exercise, right arrow, reduced stress, right arrow, better emotional regulation in leadership. How can my learning project fuel my relationships project? Answer, studying, active listening, right arrow, deeper, more meaningful conversations. Learning about psychology, greater empathy and patience with loved ones. How can my financial project fuel my contribution project? Answer, achieving a margin of financial security, right arrow, mental space, and capital to volunteer, mentor, or support causes. By designing your actions with synergy in mind, you stop seeing trade-offs and start creating flywheels. A single TEU invested in a morning run doesn't just check a box for health. It is an investment in career, focus, and relationship patience for the entire day. This is high-leverage living. Managing dependencies and contingencies. The portfolio risk register. In a multi-project environment, risks are not isolated. A crisis in one project can trigger a cascade failure across the portfolio. The family emergency, relationship project crisis, can derail a career milestone, career project delay, leading to financial stress, finance project risk, which impacts health project strain. Your personal portfolio risk register must therefore map cross-project dependencies. Identify the critical support structures. What single point of failure exists? E.g., your well-being is overly dependent on the success of one client at work. Which projects are resource competitors in a crisis? If a family member falls ill, which projects will necessarily be deprioritized? And what is the contingency plan for them? What are the portfolio-wide risks? Burnout is not a project-specific risk. It is a systemic portfolio risk that occurs when the aggregate demand for TEUs chronically exceeds the supply. The mitigation for portfolio risks often lies in building slack and resilience. Slack is the intentional underscheduling of your TEUs, white space in your calendar that acts as a shock absorber for the unexpected. Resilience is built by diversifying your identity and sources of fulfillment, so a setback in one area doesn't collapse your entire sense of self-worth. The balanced scorecard, measuring holistic success. We began with PKPIs for individual projects. Now, we need a personal balanced scorecard. This framework, adapted from business strategy, evaluates performance across multiple balanced perspectives. The internal perspective, learning and growth, are my skills and mindset evolving. PKPIs, courses completed, books read, mindfulness practice, consistency. The process perspective, internal systems, are my daily and weekly operating systems effective? PKPIs, weekly review completion, schedule adherence, system upkeep time. The stakeholder perspective, relationships, are the key people in my life feeling valued and connected? PKPIs, quality connection metrics, feedback sought, support given. The financial outcome perspective, results. Am I achieving the tangible outcomes that provide security and opportunity? PKPIs, savings rate, career progress, debt reduction. Reviewing this scorecard quarterly forces a holistic evaluation. You may be crushing the results perspective while failing the relationships perspective. True portfolio success requires a passing grade, or at least conscious, acceptable trade-offs in all four. The integrative mindset, from project manager to life architect. Ultimately, this chapter calls for an evolution in identity. You are no longer just a manager of discrete projects. You are the life architect. The project manager focuses on efficiency, doing things right. The architect focuses on effectiveness, doing the right things, and ensuring they cohere into a beautiful, functional, and enduring whole. This requires a metacognitive practice, regularly stepping back to view the emerging shape of your life. Does the frenetic activity of your various projects cohere into a life that you find meaningful and beautiful? Does the portfolio reflect your deepest values, or just a collection of externally imposed shoulds? Integration is the practice of weaving your projects into a cohesive narrative. Synergy is the magic that makes that narrative propel itself forward. It is the understanding that a well-read, financially secure, healthy, and connected individual is not just balanced, but potent. Their energy is renewable, their progress self-reinforcing, their resilience unshakable. You have learned to build projects. Now you have learned to cultivate a garden where those projects grow in symbiotic harmony, each strengthening the other, creating an ecosystem of thriving that is far more sustainable and fulfilling than any solitary achievement could ever be. But a garden has seasons. Projects, no matter how well integrated, have a natural life cycle. To grow anew, we must learn to gracefully let go, to harvest the wisdom, and to clear the ground for the next planting. The greatest achievement of human thought is to understand that everything connects to everything else. The greatest achievement of a human life is to live as if it is true. Leonardo da Vinci, adapted. Chapter 7, Closure and Celebration. Elias learned and knew HORIZONS. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to build, and a time to break down, a time to keep, and a time to cast away. He who understands the rhythm of endings possesses the secret of endless beginnings. Ecclesiastes 3:1-6 adapted. The unfinished symphony, our aversion to endings. We are a culture obsessed with beginnings. We celebrate launches, inaugurations, and day 1s with confetti and bold declarations. Our self-development lexicon is saturated with the language of initiation. Start your journey, unlock your potential. Embark on a new path. Yet, we are profoundly illiterate in the grammar of endings. We leave projects, relationships, and old versions of ourselves in a state of perpetual limbo, not quite dead, but stripped of vitality, haunting the periphery of our attention like ghosts in an attic. We fear that to end something is to admit failure, to concede defeat, or to confront the terrifying silence that might follow the final note. This aversion creates a life of psychic clutter and diluted energy. Imagine a project manager who, upon completing a skyscraper, simply walks off the site. No final inspection, no client handover, no celebration with the crew, no archiving of blueprints. The tools lie where they were dropped. The crew disperses without acknowledgement. The lessons of what made this build strong or what caused costly delays are lost to the wind. This is how most of us navigate the milestones of our own becoming. We achieve a goal, get the degree, lose the weight, finish the manuscript, and within days, we are already anxiously scanning the horizon for the next mountain to climb, the old summit already fatting behind us, its lessons unharvested, its significance ungrieved and uncelebrated. This final chapter is about mastering the most neglected, yet most generative, phase of any project: closure. It is the disciplined, sacred process of bringing an endeavor to a deliberate and dignified end. It is about learning to finish well, not just to start strong. For the project of the self, which is lifelong but composed of distinct chapters, closure is the essential mechanism of growth. It is the punctuation that turns a run-on sentence of effort into a powerful paragraph, allowing the next one to begin with clarity and force. The ritual of closure, architecting a deliberate end. Closure is not a passive event that happens to you when you cross a finish line. It is an active, structured ritual you perform. It marks the transition from doing to having done. In project management, this is the formal close project or phase process. For your personal projects, it is a conscious ceremony with 4 pillars. The final deliverable and handoff. First, you must define what done looks like with unambiguous clarity. For a health project, the deliverable might be completed a half marathon in under 2 hours 15 minutes. For a learning project, a 50-page portfolio of completed data analysis case studies. You then perform a symbolic handoff. To whom? often to yourself, to your future self, or to your identity. You formally acknowledge that this capability, this achievement, is now integrated into who you are. You might write a letter to your past self, or create a physical artifact, a framed photo of the finish line, a bound copy of the portfolio that represents the transfer. The post-implementation review peer, the crucible of wisdom, this is the heart of closure. The peer is a structured, non-judgmental autopsy of the project. You convene a meeting with your most objective self and ask a series of forensic questions. What was the original intent? Revisit your charter. What was actually achieved? Compare intent to outcome without sugarcoating or catastrophizing. What went well and why? Be specific. Was it the morning routine, the accountability partner, the specific learning resource? What went wrong and why? Was the scope too vague? Did you underestimate the time required? Did a key resource, energy, support dry up? What did I learn about the subject? Technical learnings about data, fitness, writing. What did I learn about myself? This is the gold. Did I discover I am more resilient than I thought? That I need more social accountability? That my motivation is internally or externally fueled? This document, your lessons learned report, is perhaps the most valuable asset you own. It is the compiled field manual for you as a builder. The release of resources. In a formal project, this means releasing the team, closing the budget, and returning equipment. For you, it means the conscious decommissioning of the project's infrastructure. Delete the old project-specific files from your desktop after archiving. Clear the dedicated Kanban board. Remove the goal from your vision wall. Cancel any subscriptions that served only that phase. This psychological and practical release frees up the mental RAM and physical space for what's next. It declares, this chapter is complete, the stage is now clear. The celebration, fuel for the next ascent. This is the non-negotiable final act. Celebration is not frivolous, it is a critical neurological process. It seals the achievement in your emotional memory by triggering a cascade of dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. It creates a positive associative anchor with the often difficult work of growth. The celebration must be proportionate and meaningful. It could be a fancy dinner, a weekend getaway, a small gathering with those who supported you, or a quiet, reflective day of solitude and gratitude. The key is intentionality. You are not just going out to eat, you are celebrating the completion of Project Resilience. This naming ritual matters deeply. The art of the lessons learned archive, building your personal oracle. Your series of lessons learned reports over time will form your most trusted counsel, a personal oracle. This is not a diary of events, but a curated database of cause and effect relationships specific to your psychology and operating style. When you face a new, daunting project, you don't start from zero. You consult your oracle. You might search for past projects with similar scope ambiguity and read what you learned about nailing down a charter. You might look at projects where you sustained motivation for 6 months to see what structures were in place. This archive transforms you from a naive beginner with each new endeavor into a seasoned veteran who carries the hard-won wisdom of all past campaigns. It is the ultimate tool for exponential learning. By failing to close, you doom yourself to repeat the same mistakes in an endless amnesiac loop. By closing with a peer, you ensure you are not just getting older, but wiser. Rolling wave planning, the infinite horizon. With one project beautifully closed, you stand not at an end, but at a vista. This is the principle of rolling wave planning. In project management, this means planning in detail for the immediate phase and in broader strokes for future phases, refining the plan as you go. For your life, it means recognizing that the project of self-development is fractal and infinite. The completion of project, career transition, naturally reveals the contours of project, mastery in new role. The closure of project, run a marathon might lead to project, sustainable lifetime fitness or project, trail running exploration. The end is always a seed. Your updated life portfolio dashboard now has a vacancy. Your celebration has filled your emotional reserves. Your lessons learned report is in the archive. You now return not to the beginning, but to a higher iteration of Chapter 2, Initiation. You draft a new charter, informed by the person you have become. You are no longer the same project manager who began the last endeavor. You are more skilled, more self-aware, equipped with better data. The cycle begins anew, but from an elevated plane. Eulogizing past selves, the grace of letting go. Some of the most important closures are not of projects, but of past versions of ourselves. The ambitious striver who defined success only by titles. The people pleaser who had no boundaries. The perpetual student who was afraid to act. These selves served a purpose. They got you here, but to hold on to them is to drag anchors. Closure here involves a respectful, grateful eulogy. Write it down. I thank the hyper-competitive younger me for the drive that propelled me through school, but I now release that identity. My worth is not contingent on being the best in the room. Bury that version with honor. This symbolic release creates psychological space for the emergence of your next self. The collaborative leader, the grounded contributor, the wise practitioner. The final integration. The project manager becomes the same. As you master this cycle, initiate, plan, execute, monitor, integrate, close, something alchemical occurs. The distinction between project manager and self begins to dissolve. The systems, the rituals, the dashboards and charters, they do not become your life. Instead, they become the invisible, elegant scaffolding upon which your life is freely and confidently lived. You are no longer doing project management on yourself. You are living projectfully. The discipline of closure is the final, integrative wisdom. It teaches you that you are not a static entity to be built, but a dynamic process to be skillfully navigated. You are both the sculpture and the sculptor, the story and the author, the journey and the traveler who knows how to set up camp, savor the view, break camp with care, and move on with a lighter pack and a fuller heart. You began this book seeking a system to build a better self. You end it with a profound realization. The system was never the point. The point was to use the system to cultivate the qualities of the master builder: clarity, intentionality, resilience, adaptability, and wisdom. These qualities, once hard-won through the cycle of projects, become your innate operating system. You can then let the formal tools recede. You will not always need a Gantt chart, because you think in timelines and dependencies. You will not always need a Kanban board, because you naturally limit your work in progress. You will not need to schedule a celebration, because gratitude for the milestone will be your immediate, authentic response. You have learned to build projects. You have learned to cultivate a garden of projects. Now you understand the seasons. You know when to plant, when to tend, when to harvest, and when to let the field lie fallow, trusting in the richer yield to come. The project of you is never finished, but its chapters can be, and must be, beautifully, wisely, and joyfully closed. So turn the page. Write the end on this phase. Celebrate it. Then, with the quiet confidence of a seasoned architect, pick up your pencil, gaze at the blank sheet, and whisper the two most powerful words in the universe of potential. There is a secret bond between slowness and memory, between speed and forgetting. To close a chapter slowly is to inscribe it upon the clay tablet of the soul. To rush from one thing to the next is to write on the surface of water. Be the scribe of your own life, not its hurried spectator. Milan Kundera, adapted.